What's up, Chris? Welcome to another episode of the Equity Accelerator. Thank you, as always, for joining me and for helping me put this thing together.
Yeah, man.
My name is James Adair. I am a lender with Sierra Pacific Mortgage. You can find me at pdxhomeloan.com. I'm operating out of Portland, Oregon. And this podcast is about people in the real estate industry. It's about our success, our struggles. We call it the Equity Accelerator. It's kind of a play on words because we're talking about things to do to accelerate equity in your own business, but also just anywhere in life. I'd love to talk about physical fitness and mental health and anything like this in the future. But today, we're really going to talk about one of the key ingredients of success. And it's something that is not as easy to talk about or share. And that's
nobody wants to talk about this.
That's not success. That is, I guess, failure or, it's been a slow time for me in the last few months. I mean, seasonally, it's been slow. The mortgage market has shrunk and the competition is fierce. The clip of my business is not what I had planned for it to be. I have very, very big goals. And I mean, it's still early in 2019, but I really have the feeling that I'm sort of stumbling out of the gate business-wise. Yeah. And I was sharing with you that I have a past client. Actually, it's a really pretty close friend of mine, and his wife on Facebook posted something that really touched me. And she was saying something about how she was experiencing she was having a moment of transparency and authenticity online, and was really basically saying, look, this is my life right now is not what I expected it to be. And it's hard. But maybe success isn't a straight line. Maybe it's not like you just keep getting better and better and better. Maybe it's just like a lot more of a mess, you know? Yeah. So I'm hoping that we can have a conversation today about the mess.
Yeah. Right. I think the challenge as an entrepreneur, I mean, ultimately we're talking to business people in business for the most part, but it's not limited to business. It could be in parenting. It could be in your physical fitness. Like you said, like there's all sorts of places where we have our mindset on some sort of destination. And then there's all sorts of setbacks on the way. Like I just told you before we hit record last week, like one day I was up, the next day I was down, then I was up, then I was down. I'm like, it is an emotional roller coaster trying to climb and scratch and claw to the things you want in this world.
It's true. And I think, I mean, personally, as it's 2019, I've been on a winning streak in the mortgage space. I think it's been my position in the marketplace starting in 2012 and really start again in 2015, where I was just positioned to receive business, and it was like really easy. And I kind of hypnotized myself to the extent where after it happens month after month after month for year after year, right, you start to kind of feel like, I guess this is how it is now. I guess I'm pretty special and I'm pretty awesome. I'm super good,
Golden child.
And then now it's like this is my first, and I guess when I first started in the business, it was 03, 05. 05 was my first year where I really kind of put the pieces together and had the sense that this was a career for me. Right. And that was a big year. That was another year in Portland where inventory was, less than 2 months of inventory for a significant part of the year, torrid market. And so maybe it was just an easier place to operate and win business when there's so many opportunities flying around. Right. But then, in the downturn of 08, 09, and 10, I felt super fortunate. I still was piecing together a business in those years that felt great and was more lucrative than I ever imagined life could be. But maybe my sights were just too low, because I know there was lots of people in the business at that time were getting out of the business because they were making so much money, 10 times what I was making. And then they went from 10 times what I was making to 5 times what I was making, and they were just like suicidal, and they got out of the business.
Huh. Wow.
And meanwhile, I was getting along, and I was, in 09 and 10, I would meet people at, out and about, cocktail parties, they'd ask, "Hey, what kind of business do you do, James?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm in mortgages. I'm doing real estate financing." And they would just look stricken. "Oh my God. Are you okay? Is it okay?"
One
And I
person
was like, "Man, I'm having the time of my life. It's great. It's easy."
Yeah. Right. Right.
But so I guess what I'm trying to say is this phase, 18, it really started. It's not something that just happened. It's something that's been developing over the last year or so. This phase of my career is my first real feeling of deceleration. And it's coming from a pretty high place, I think. And I'm trying to like claw my way back to the top. But it's really, really hard work. And it's hard. The hardest thing is it's hard to know which activities to prioritize, which activities are the ones that are actually like driving the needle, no, not to mix metaphors, driving right.
I get
the bus.
Forward. Moving the needle, driving the bus. Yeah, right. I get it. But I think, it'll be interesting looking back on this in a year from now, 2 years from now, like, because a couple episodes ago, we talked about reinvention, like reinventing yourself.
Right.
And now I think when you go through a season of reinventing yourself, there is a lot of this dark night of the soul, trying to figure it out.
Yeah. I'm wandering around. I don't have a clear path. It's just sort of, I sometimes I feel like being an entrepreneur or making your own business is like finger painting. You just kind of smearing stuff around and and like, that looks pretty good. And then maybe over here. It's like I said, it's messy, but some people are more comfortable with it than others. But I can't remember if this is another classic problem that I have, where I start a story and then I back up and then I don't get all the way to the end of the story. Yeah. Did I talk about? I mean, I guess I talked about how success isn't a straight line, but how that. But she also said in this post from the story that I started this conversation with, it's true that success is not a straight line and it can be messy. But then she also said, like, maybe the world is trying to tell me something. Maybe the world is, maybe this is not my time to be super successful at the thing that I was really focused on. Maybe I should focus on something else for a minute. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I think, the thing about I hate to use this quote because just of my affiliations with it, but, they say no pressure, no diamonds. There's something that, like, when you get confronted by stuff, when things aren't working well, like, it does really force you to look at how else can I do something? And in those moments, you have a choice to either rise or to stay covered up in bed and not get out in the world, And I think part of it in those seasons of life, I've had more than my fair share, is just getting up and you just keep going. You just keep going, right? Like,
well, that's always been one of my strengths, I guess, is that persistence. And it's not out of, I don't know, my persistence is more out of just like, I don't know what else to do.
Right. Of course. Because if you,
I used to think, it's funny. I used to think about that. I mean, this is my 16th year in the business. And I think for the first, maybe not 10 years, my first, so I started 2003 to 2013. Yeah. Maybe my first 10 years in this business. And I'm in my mid 40s, so I still have, still have a lot of life in front of me. But in my first 10 years in this business, I was always thinking, on a day where you kind of get knocked down, it was like, what if this doesn't work out? What else could I imagine myself doing? Right. Yeah. I don't think about that anymore. And I still, and like, I don't know what else I'd do. So I just keep doing it.
Yeah. No, that's right. That Equity Accelerator, I mean, the conversation of whether it's your business or your personal portfolio or your relationships that have equity, your physical health for equity, like all of that is not a straight line. It's not a straight line.
It turns out that's true. And I think that's something that, we all think it should just keep getting better and keep getting better. And I think one of the key ingredients to success is some failure. I don't want this to be too depressing. I'm not like failing, but it definitely feels like I'm like, man, what used to work for me doesn't really work as well anymore.
I think that's what we're addressing.
And what else should I be doing? Right.
Yep.
Like, where else can where can I find, you're chipping away at, in the salt mines,
right.
And we're looking for a vein, right? And I think for a few years I found like a mother lode, and I scooped it out, and now I'm back to just like chipping away again, looking for the next jackpot.
Really good. I feel like what's coming up for me as we're talking this through is just that who you are, who you be when that happens. It's going to happen. So let's just say that, like those of you listening, if you haven't been in your career long enough to know it's going to happen, it's going to happen. And when it does, I think that's the question. Like you were saying, people who were making 10 times what you were making, 5 times what you were making when the market dropped, like it freaked them out. Yeah. And they got out.
My perspective was fortunate. Like I had the perspective of basically, wow, I'm amazed that this is working out so well for me. And I was on the way up, and the people that had been so far advanced and then they pulled back had this feeling of, wow, maybe this is just over. Right.
Right.
So I mean, and there's going to be ups and downs, and that's good. And I think, I'm trying to embrace, I'm trying to embrace it and pay attention to the feeling. And, I think when I find that next vein, it's going to be that much sweeter. Right.
Yeah. I think for people, you're an early adopter. I feel like you're always out ahead of what the industry is doing. And I think when you're an early adopter, you're getting there, you're getting to the problems before everybody else. So you're starting a conversation of reinvention before others are starting a conversation of reinvention. And I feel like you're also starting to take on some of the hiccups or the sticking points before other people are going to get them, which conveniently is going to put you in a position, I think, to advise or counsel or provide feedback and wisdom for those who are getting there after you've already been there. So,
well, I think, and we might have talked about this in an earlier episode, but it's really just about providing value. Like, how can I, maybe what I was doing is no longer that valuable anymore. Maybe the problem I need to solve is changing, or I need to find a different place inside people's imaginations of how I can help them. Right.
Well, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. That's what I'm really, really wake up every day. How can I make sure that this is valuable?
Yeah.
Right? How can I make sure that this is more than just a mortgage contract, or more than just, I don't know.
That's what I wanted to say. Like in the middle of it, when things get confusing in business, that you have a place to orient yourself or to anchor in. Like if I do nothing else but add value today, I may not know exactly what I'm doing, but if at least I can add value and do a good job, then I can hang my hat on that, even though I'm not clear on the other things.
Right. So it's like, Damian Lillard for the Portland Trailblazers, sometimes his shot doesn't fall in a game. Right. So he has to just focus on getting some steals and some rebounds.
Right.
And try to set up the other guys for a while, and sometimes it doesn't go.
That's to the point of your friend on Facebook who was like, maybe the universe is telling you to try something else. Like maybe you just need to work on stealing and assisting versus like hitting all your 3-pointers.
Exactly. Yeah. I think, anyway.
Good, man. I like it. Yeah. Well, listen, I will acknowledge you for being transparent. I think the world is full of people fronting and puffing and trying to appear perfect. It doesn't help that social media is sometimes this big comparison game. And
it's so funny. It's so funny you bring up social media, and that is another thing, is that I see other people in my industry, in my feed, and it appears that they're just having so much fun and just everything's going so great, and and it kind of bugs me sometimes. I need to back away from that. But the irony is, the irony is I think that when you talk about the hard stuff, when you talk about a failure, we talk about, hey, you know what? My business isn't as good as I was hoping it would be at this stage. And I'm trying, but it's not there. It's hard to just have that be my Facebook status update.
Yeah, right.
It might get a lot of really good feedback. I'm not fishing for sympathy or anything like that. But I mean, it's Yeah, I think the one of the real missed opportunities on social media is having that other side of the conversation.
Yeah. I think you can be transparent without without being the victim of your own circumstance, right? I think you can be transparent and be like, look, like, listen, if you are going to be a victim, I'm not saying this to you, James, I'm saying this to like the world. Like, if you're going to be a victim on social media, that's not good content. Nobody wants to interact with that. It makes me feel weird when I see your post that says, I don't know if I can make my mortgage payment this month. My wife's going to leave me. It's like,
oh yeah, that's not good.
You're like, no, we're going to unfollow that friend. But what makes good content is to be like, look, it can be tough, and I'm in a season of where it's tough, and here's how I'm staying in the game. Right?
Yeah. I am focusing on affirmations and I'm focusing on physical fitness. I'm trying to really keep my body, get good sleep and work, be active. I think that helps it helps everything for sure.
For sure. Absolutely. Well, again, thank you for just being transparent. I think when you're in the business, like a mortgage business, that is a relationship based business, I think. And people see an episode like this where you're being transparent. I think that goes a long way to create trust, because people just know like what they see is what they get. Like you're just being transparent about it. And I think I want more of that in the world. And so I just appreciate that you're willing to have that kind of conversation.
Well, yeah. I'd love for people who are listening, if they appreciate this, to email me and email me an example of how this is showing up in your life and how we can, help each other move the ball forward. Right. So I that's what I'm hoping that this will
drive the needle forward.
Yeah. I'm hoping that this will be the beginning of a larger conversation with people. Yeah. This isn't just for me and you to talk. This is for people who are listening to talk back to us. Yeah. So please email me anytime. I'm at James, just my name, James, at pdxhomeloan.com. You can find me at pdxhomeloan.com. So if you're in Oregon or Washington and you want to have a mortgage conversation, I am here to talk to you clearly. And, I'd love to be a part of, I'd love to be a part of your life and your business. If you feel like I'm talking to you, right? Yeah. Because I am.
Absolutely. It's good stuff, James.
Yeah, Chris, thank you. Thanks again, man. I think that's going to be it for today's episode. And man, I can't wait to talk to you again next week.
Yeah. See you next time. Thanks, James.